So welcome everybody to the Martin Segal Theatre Center here at the Graduate Center CUNY. My name is Frank Henschke. I'm running the Segal Theatre Center. It's a great day for us, as I've said already today. Yesterday and the day before, we have the Gorki Theater from Berlin here visiting us for the great Penworld Voices Festival. Penworld Voices Festival was created by Paul Auster and Salman Rushdie to open a bit the tunnel vision, as they said, of the American thinking and reading experience. 95% of all books are American books or British books, and then the other half is German or French because the governments help to translate. So very little reaches what is coming from writing around the world, and it would be unthinkable for musicians not to listen to music from all around the world. Actually, that's where they get their inspirations from, and they feel it's of vital importance to know what others do and play with them also. And in theater, it's not as easy. Someone once said it's like wine bottles in the old days on the sailing ships. Red wine might arrive, but it might go bad. You never know how it works out, and it takes a long time, and there are storms, and it's very expensive, and the wine is very expensive. So we are trying to help out and do this here. And the Penn is a great institution. They get writers out of prison. They support writers around the world. They give out the most significant literary awards. And this festival this week is really extraordinary. Look it up. Come also back next week. It's a big honor for us to be part of it, what Chip Rowley curated this year. The Segal Center bridges academia and professional theater, international and American theater. And for over 10 years, we have invited writers from around the world and from all the continents. And even one of the writers who was here with Penworld Voices is now a student, Jonat from Indonesia, who came here. And it is a great tradition. And for the very first time, we had the idea to say, let's invite a theater like the Gorki, because of their fantastic vision and interesting vision they have. Gorki is since, with Jens and Shermin, since 2013. They said, let's have an ensemble with everybody who doesn't actually look like me in Germany, who looks like from all the people on the street, from everywhere. Refugees, people in exile, people who came to work in Germany, but who have a different cultural background. And let's work with them, with artists, give them a place, give them a chance, 3-4 plays. And they created a new work of collaborating in a state theater. Free companies might have worked that way for a long time as ensembles and writing and creating text together, but in one of the big city theaters in Berlin, it's been unheard of. And it's a shining theater. More energy comes out than goes in, and this is what I think Heidegger, a philosopher, said. You know, you look at a Greek temple, it's meaningless, it doesn't mean anything, it's a temple, a photo of it. But when it worked, it was a great place. And the theater should be like this. Something should come out, and I think the Gorki caught something of it at the moment, and we were really lucky that they came here. So I would like to thank Christopher coming, and Sivan, who's here, Nora left, and Falk Richter wanted to come here. He actually planned to come with his entire class today from Berlin and say, this is a great city, this is a great festival, they can see all the plays. But somehow through budget and timing, and it didn't fully work out. But Falk Richter also is a very, very significant theater artist, not only in Germany, but globally. And it's a great honor to have this play here for the first time. All of these plays, 6 of them out of this 2013, and I think they have done 80 plays, I don't know. So it's quite a selection what we also have here. So these are really important works. So, Falk sent us a little video message, and I haven't seen it yet. So Michael, let's see what he has to say.
Hello, New York City. This is Falk Richter from Berlin. Unfortunately, I cannot be with you in New York City tonight, but I wanted to wish you a really great reading. And I want to give you a little introduction to my play. So, Small Town Boy was produced in 2013 at the Maxim Gorki Theater, and it's still in repertoire, so we still play it every now and then. And it's a huge success, but it also caused a lot of controversy in the media in Germany. There are more shows now, there are more productions, in other European countries, and there's one coming up very soon in Amsterdam. So if you're in Europe, look out, you might find a production of Small Town Boys somewhere. When I was writing the play, I was really angry at the new laws that were introduced by Vladimir Putin in Russia, and I felt the need to write about it because basically Putin introduced laws that made it impossible to actually openly talk about homosexuality in public, in the arts, or on television. He made this trick that he eliminated the word gay or homosexual. So if you wanted to talk about gay people, you could only use the same word that's being used for pedophiles. So they linked these two words, which is, as we all know, a homophobic standard to say that all gay men are pedophiles. And this basically became a law. And you know, it caused a lot of horrible attacks on gay men, as you might have heard of. You know, a lot of gay men were tricked into situations where they were kept hostage and tortured, and those videos were put on the internet, and it was just a mess, and the German press did not report on that, and that kind of made me really angry, and I wanted to write about this, and I wanted to put it out in a play. At the same time, being a German citizen, I was really shocked how homophobic a lot of German politicians were. You know, Germany is one of the last countries in Western Europe that introduced marriage equality. So we only have marriage equality for the LGBT community for 2 years now. It started 2 years ago. And it was a painful process to get there, you know, with a lot of horrible homophobic, very painful comments by Christian Democrats or Catholic conservatives. So I'm kind of talking about that. You know, why is it actually? Where does this come from? Where does this deep-rooted homophobia in Germany come from? It comes definitely also from our history, you know, where gay people were put into concentration camps, and it was never actually really, you know, reflected historically what happened back then. And you know, still the Catholic Conservative Party is basically using a lot of horrible homophobic standards and slurs against gay people in their speeches. So I'm dealing with that in my play as well. And on another level, I was wondering, you know, how are LGBT people actually represented in German media, in the German film industry? Are there any famous openly gay actors? No. Are there any interesting, complex gay characters on German television and German soap operas? Basically, no. So I was dealing with that. You know, the Gorki Theater is a theater that gives a voice to people with a migration background, refugees that are now coming to Germany. And so I thought it was my job to also open this up to the LGBT community and ask the question, you know, where are we in Germany? You know, how are our lives represented? But also on a more personal level, you know, what does it mean when you're a small town boy and you grew up in a more or less homophobic environment, and then you run away to a big city like Berlin or New York or, you know, Paris, and what are your dreams? What are the things that you want to live? You know, what are the downsides of being a gay man in a big city? It might be loneliness, it might be aging and not, you know, being wanted and desired on Grindr anymore. So all of this is actually coming into the play in, I hope, a very entertaining and fun fashion. So it's you know, it's supposed to be a show. It's supposed to be also, you know, be funny and light at the same time, and it's dealing, you know, with pressing political issues. But I think that's also what the Gorki Theater is about. We're trying to be a theater that attracts a large audience, that brings on kind of entertaining shows, but we're dealing with issues that we find important and that are not talked about enough in German society and in German media. So having said all this, I hope that you will have a great evening, and I'm really sorry I cannot see it. I would have loved to see the actors and actresses perform tonight. So all my best for tonight from Berlin and to that wonderful city, New York, and I hope I can be with you another time. I hope you will bring on the text to the stage. There will be a show at some point, and I'm happy to fly over and see it. Bye-bye, and have a great night.
Well, that was a great opening message. Thank you so much. Now it's time to really take out your cell phone and see if the ringer is off. I'll do the same. I think everybody has it off. Checked it. Okay, thank you very much. We will have a discussion after the play with Christopher, who worked actually as one of his first jobs at the Gorki on that production. So Christopher who is working as a dramaturg there at the Gorki, will talk with us. And then afterwards, we're gonna all have a drink if you want to join us at the Archive Bar, which is on 36th Street between 5th and Madison, just in the middle on the south side. But now a few words from Nic, who is directing the show, and here you go.
Hello, everybody. Come on out, humans. It's a real honor to be working on this play with this incredible group of artists. And there are a couple folks I want to thank before we get started. First is Frank, and Antje Ogle, who curated this festival and brought us here, and of course also the Gorki. We're really pleased to have the chance to encounter this text and see how it resonates here today. Also, Corey Tamler helped us with the pronunciation of German words, but forgive us for any shortcomings. And I'd like to also introduce the actors. So we have Evan Spiegelman, Neil Gupta, Jocelyn Koritsky, Damon Olia, and Jeremy Gorin. And on sound and video design is Asa Wember. I do want to mention that there is some potentially troubling sexual language in the play. If you should want to leave or come back for any reason at all, please feel free to do so. And with that, I hope you enjoy Small Town Boy.
So what should I say?
Whatever you want. Talk about last night, what happened, what you wanted to happen, whatever you like.
Why?
Just talk.
This is for an art project.
Yes.
And you're just gonna stand there and record what I say.
That's right.
And then people are gonna listen to it.
If you do it well, yes.
Well, I can't really remember very much.
Start with the first time you saw me.
I don't know, I just saw you.
Come on, don't be so shy.
All right, I saw you in the club and I thought you were out of my league, or, I don't know, I liked your t-shirt, and
So, what league are you in?
I don't know, third division maybe?
Not even you think you're gonna fall for that. You followed me into the restroom, you stood next to me at the urinal and tried to hit on me. Very sexy.
Yeah, and you left.
And I left.
Why?
There was another guy I really wanted, but then when I came back, he'd already hooked up with someone else.
So that was your second choice.
What difference does that make?
This is a totally stupid conversation.
What? Fucking faggot theater? Shut your mouth. Who said that? Look out, I'm gonna find you.
Thomas.
If you don't shut your mouth, I am going to come down there and fuck you in the mouth so hard you can't breathe. And while you're slowly dying, I'm gonna fuck your hole so hard that all you'll be able to do is whimper and plead and pray that I come so it'll all be over. You got that? So shut your mouth!
What was that?
Just having a laugh.
They're gonna smash my windows.
You live on the 14th floor in the film.
Then we went to mine, and I offered you a drink, I think. Then you kissed me in the hallway.
And I tried to get inside your pants.
Did you? And you were trying to get inside my pants.
And I liked being able to feel such a big dick in there, and that it kept getting bigger the longer I played with it, which really surprised me because you were so drunk. And then we went into the bedroom. What exactly did you want to happen in there? Can you remember?
No,
When I took off your t-shirt, what did you want to happen next?
I can't remember.
I wanted to lick your armpits. Armpits turned me on. Come on, show me.
No.
Show me.
No.
Come on, Alex.
Russell.
Yes, sorry, I mean Russell.
No.
Why not?
Because it's stupid.
It's not stupid.
Yes, it is.
Let me see.
No.
Man, lighten up. Jesus.
Okay, I'll show you, but no touching.
Jesus, I mean, it's some kind of a museum or what?
Show me.
You see? Beautiful. Just what I want. And you took my dick out and began to jerk me off?
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I did not.
I thought you were too drunk to remember.
We were in the hallway and we kissed. And like you said, I took off my shirt. I can remember because I was all sweaty and worried that I stank.
No, it was all good.
Good.
And then?
Then you kissed my ears and my neck. And then you kissed my hand. That was,
Had you been hoping my dick would be bigger?
no.
Had you had many circumcised ones before?
Why are you asking me this?
I couldn't tell if you were pretending you hadn't blown many guys or whether you really hadn't blown many guys.
And that's what you were thinking about when we had sex.
What about when I played around your hole with my finger?
What? Why are you asking this kind of stuff?
Too hard, too gentle?
It was good. Perhaps a bit too hard.
Why didn't you say anything? You didn't want me to fuck you, Alex.
Russell!
Yeah, sorry, Russell.
I didn't want to, no.
Why not?
I just didn't.
You're not into that.
No, it's just,
Would you have felt too gay? Are you actually openly gay?
yes.
Are you sure?
I just thought we had a really great time together. It was amazing with you. It went way beyond what I expected, so sorry, Thomas, if I somehow failed your test, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was Bronski Beat with their new hit Small Town Boy, a new entry this week. Already up to number 2 in Britain, here in Bavaria, it's number 97. Attention all drivers, we have some urgent traffic news. Take care on the A9 heading from Munich to Nuremberg between the Pfaffenhof Junction and the Holledau Triangle. There are cows in the road, please don't overtake on that stretch, and drive carefully. The B300 between Bergen-Gau and Schlovenhausen is completely closed. Please avoid the area as a 500-ton flying bomb has been found there. On the A8 headed for Salzburg, there's still a long queue because the border to Austria has been closed. Please don't turn off onto the local roads because today is the hunting festival in Innigen Forest. And according to our correspondent, Andi Weichenmüller, They've already shot 23 pigs. So, anyone who's hungry, grab the family and head off to Innigan Forest. The traditional children's shooting contest starts at 3:30.
A diary, a sleepless night, a YouTube link. Depressing, dark, overcast. Sketches, material breakdowns. A mixtape, scraps of musical memories. My first record, Sweet Dreams Are Made of This. My first Bravo poster, Annie Lennox. Looked like a man, sang like a woman. My first film, Fassbinder's Corrupt. Then Fassbinder, Fear Eats the Soul. Didn't understand all of it, but completely fascinated. My first book, William Burroughs, The Wild Boys. A group of Dionysian boys constantly partying, murdering and fucking their way through the world. A life of resistance and highs. Didn't understand it all, but very, very fascinating.
Memories. Room for memories. And how music takes us into these images and emotions that are all stored there, saved in our bodies like huge archives.
What do I remember?
Fathers standing in a line in the mornings in long coats, scraping the ice off their Mercedes and Volvos, while the mothers fetch their kids' bikes out of the cellars and wave them goodbye.
Those wives stagnated in the suburbs. They weren't allowed to work because their husbands were afraid other men would think they were too weak and didn't earn enough money, so.
Those women were just stuck there, sitting around with absolutely nothing to do.
They didn't even have to cook. They could just shove a ready-made pizza into the microwave.
They stood there, clinging onto the kitchen cabinet in a fog of cognac and loneliness.
Don't keep touching me, Mom. I don't like that. Don't get so close. I'm 17 already.
Those houses were so empty and lonely during the day.
The husbands at work,
The kids at school.
So they cleaned.
Then they cleaned again.
And then again.
back then there was no daytime TV.
So they opened letters
Combed through school books.
and diaries.
Taking notes.
They wanted to get close to their sons, they wanted to know what they were thinking, how they ticked.
Like a watch you take apart piece by piece to find out exactly what's hidden at the heart of its mysterious casing.
But their sons didn't want them close.
Their sons wanted to be left alone. Don't keep touching me, Mom!
Don't keep coming in the bathroom when I'm in the shower.
Don't keep fiddling with my belt. I'm 17 already, Mom.
Mother creeps secretly through my room, opening all the cupboards, looking for some signs of life.
What kind of life does this boy have? I need to find out more about him.
Mother opens letters sent to me. Mother combs through my diaries. Mother copies down the phone numbers I've called. Mother scans my school books for notes in the margins. Mother talks on the phone to other mothers whose sons I'm friends with and asks,
What do they get? What do they get up to when they're at your house? I don't have any real contact with my son anymore, and is everything okay?
Mother phones my teachers and asks them questions.
Mother phones the parents of my first girlfriend and asks them questions.
Mother, don't drink 2 liters of red wine every night. You can't handle
And
it.
don't keep coming into my room at night, damn it.
No, I do not find you attractive.
No, you are not the most important person in my life.
No, I will not stay living at home till I'm 30.
no, I don't want to have a career first and then start a family. First of all, I want to have a life and learn something before I can make up my mind what career I want.
And no, I will not marry you when I grow up.
Let go of me!
Don't keep touching me all the time.
My mother and my father in the bathroom one morning. I stand at the door listening. My mother.
A woman's allowed to behave poorly once in a while.
No, she's not.
Of course she is.
No, then I might as well not have any wife at all. You've been like this for 3 days, refusing to have sex for 3 days, and I've had enough. I'm fed up. Tonight you're either going to sleep with me or you can pack your bags and go.
There's no beauty here. No idea ever happens here. No spark to catch light. Where would it go? Any spirit vanishes under a blanket of desolation, of melancholy, of inertia, of lack of initiative.
I don't want any of this.
And now we see a child, a boy. He's running. He's on the run. He wants to get away. He wants to escape. He's running, and he knows life cannot happen here. Here, where the women wander distraught through narrow, empty, dark-paneled homes, looking for grains of dust, all day, all night, clinging onto the curtain poles, and the fathers nod off every night in front of the test card.
He puts his Walkman on Small Town Boy by Bronski Beat and listens to the same bit over and over. Run away, turn away, run away, turn away. Keeps winding the cassette back to that same place. The answers you seek will never be found at home. The love you need will never be found at home. And turns up the music as loud as he can so no more noise can reach him from the outside. And all he can hear is these synthesized sounds, and he runs past the endless rows of houses that are always the same, with stories that are always the same, with the blue light from TVs flickering onto the street. And he can't see anymore, he can't hear anymore, and everything gets blurred, and time stands still. And then, time races on again, and stops and pulls him in every direction, and he runs, away, away from here. I want to get away, let me out, I want another life in another place with other people and other stories.
The first time I was really in love was when I was in the pedestrian zone where we lived and saw this huge family of musicians with instruments and minstrel costumes. And there was this angelic creature, this beautiful little girl with a voice as clear as a bell who sang the song I thought was so gorgeous then. Sometimes I wish I were an angel. And I was totally in love. And I dreamed about her for nights on end and wanted to marry her and tour every pedestrian zone in Germany with her and her family. And years later, I saw her again on MTV. And I suddenly understood it was Paddy Kelly from the Kelly family, and that the whole time I'd fancied Paddy Kelly and wanted to marry him.
My youth was one big series of disappointments as far as love goes. I'd fall in love almost every day, and then would always record mixtapes for the girls I really felt something for. Each tape was put together individually and exactly matched what I felt at the time. And I would hand them over in person with a piece of folded up paper inside that said in big letters, "Will you go out with me? If yes, call me now. If not, never look at me again." Ellie Kuschelheide was first, and she wouldn't go out with me. Simona Dolcik wouldn't go out with me either. Ursula Kraus wouldn't go out with me. Susanna Dolcik wouldn't go out with me. Stephanie Althammer wouldn't go out with me. Petra Strunz wouldn't go out with me. Michaela Wangenfelter wouldn't go out with me. Sibylle Prattfleckner wouldn't go out with me.
This song is for everyone who's loved and not been loved back. Thomas, this song is for you and me. I love you much. Not enough. I died 100 times. You go back to her, and I go back to black. This city's so big, and yet so little happens. No one seems to be here, no one that I know. There's always somewhere else. Weird. It's November, and there's nobody here. Nobody. It's weird. And if I call someone and want to meet up, then he doesn't answer, or he spends forever on the phone going through his diary with me, looking for a slot, and making me listen to where he is exactly, and who he's seen, and when which deadline is, and everything he's making me listen to, and it makes me sick. And I listen to all this shit because I'm such a nice guy. And at the same time, I try to check on Facebook who's online and in town and might come over. It's my birthday. Not today, but tomorrow. So I text some people and tell them it would be nice if they came over and had a party with me. And at some point, I can still remember, I'm sitting there on my sofa with a couple of French guys, and I've never seen any of them in my life before. And as a present, they brought me a box of yogurt, and a can of Dr. Pepper, and a Kinder Egg from the all-night shop. And they tell me how cool Berlin is, but I don't know them, and I have no idea who brought them. Whatever. Anyway, everyone's gone. There's just the 3 French guys with the Kinder Egg left, and somehow there's something missing. Something's missing, I think. What could that be? A boyfriend? A relationship? Yeah, probably. But what should that look like? I mean, the relationship. I mean, it should be something lasting, something serious, not just someone I have good sex with again 2 or 3 times, and then suddenly he's clinging to you so much, you'll never get rid of him, and you suddenly slip into all these things you do when you're with someone. Secretly checking on their text messages, keeping an eye on their email account, getting annoyed when he's there, blaming each other for being fucked up and sick and not really taking any notice of each other, and only ever being interested in themselves, etc., etc. That's exactly what I didn't want, but I've still not got a clear image in my mind yet. How should I live?
I'm not ugly. I'm not stupid. And I'm not totally screwed up. I can follow a conversation. I've got a sense of humor. I'm a good dancer. I can enjoy myself. I can cry. I'm a good kisser. I can give myself to a man fully and completely. I can look up to a man. I have a profession. I'm successful, but I'm not some unfeeling careerist bitch who's always stressed out. I can love. I can fuck. I can be very affectionate. I can hold a man in my arms for a long time when he's down, when he's worried, having a tough time, when he needs love and intimacy. I can listen. I'm there. I'm there for you. Why do you always avoid me? Why do you never stop? Why can you never make a decision? Why do you never say yes? Why do you never call back after the first date? Why do you never kiss me goodbye? Why do you not desire me? Why do you never want more? Why do you never want more than just to leave everything a little bit up in the air? I want you to be together with you, to see you, touch you, have you here a couple of evenings in a row here with me, without always having to negotiate whether you're going to stay and when you'll come back again, without waking up and realizing that you've left in the night again for wherever and then not hear from you for 3 days or ever, or what do I know? I honestly don't understand. But it scares you. Foxes you. It unsettles you. Everything. Everything that doesn't stay open, undecided, not tied down, unsettles you. What's so bad about getting them to try for once? Saying yes. Not just maybe, narrowing down the options. Just you and me, love, trust, commitment, sticking together. It's not possible. None of that. Not anymore. No one wants that anymore. No one wants me anymore.
My friends all say you're no good for me. You're just not in my league. You're simply sticking with me because you hope it will be an advantage and finally get one of your failed projects produced. I think I don't know that much about women, but now suddenly I'd like to spend the whole night in the arms of a woman, and she would hold me tight and stroke my hair and whisper gently in my ear that everything's okay. And eventually there will be a time in my life again when I don't feel totally lost and homeless in the city, even if it means that at some point I'll pack my bags and go back to the place I left here for. I'm 43 now, and the word change still makes me feel oddly insecure. I still live like a teenager and stand around in the corner at parties and snog random tourists with beards who then stand me up because they want to go on to Berkheim and don't need anyone needy clinging onto them there. City's killing me. Everyone I meet only ever talks about the project he has become, and that I absolutely must come to his new show or exhibition. And I reply by handing him a flyer with the dates of my next project, so we end up going to see each other's projects. I'm 43 now, and I still don't know all that much about myself. My friends are all in long-term relationships and are converting lots in Kreuzberg, or going diving together in the Seychelles, or are being invited to fish suppers with David Berger and Jen Spahn, and I'm the only one standing by the cloakroom in Schwutz at 5 a.m. collecting my parka, and checking on Grindr to see who's still looking for someone, and sending shirtless selfies and dick pics, and yet I still end up on my balcony alone, and smoke a last cigarette in the dawn, and look at the closed windows behind which people are lying who have pledged to be together, and are now holding each other tight and talking about new accessories and taking out insurance policies, and I want to do all that too, finally, just like them. Do you remember how we used to take the dog for walks through the park in the evening, hand in hand at sunset, when we were still together? Except we didn't have a dog, and there was no park near us, and you never walked hand in hand with me anywhere because you thought we shouldn't go around holding hands in public in such an overt demonstration of gay rights, putting our sexuality on display, because what good does that do? Do you remember how we sit by the stove in the flat we had together in Newcomb, and we'd read our new texts out to each other and then kiss forever and have such incredibly hot, intense sex together? Except we never lived together. And you never read anything of yours out to me because you never wrote anything, even though you kept telling everybody, and most of all yourself, that you were a writer and wanted to spend some time in Berlin because the city is so inspiring. And we never spent a long time kissing, and even our sex was never that intense because after 10 p.m., you were usually so wasted you couldn't concentrate on anything anymore, and you'd spend the whole time trying to get a hold of your dealer because sex without drugs just didn't do it for you anymore. The city's killing me. Everywhere people come up to me and ask how you are, or who you've just seen or just slept with, or who you're together with. It's killing me. The city is a village. And everyone I know has slept with you or was there when you were having sex with some Spanish tourist in the toilet somewhere in Ulfa, and why don't you love me anymore? Hurts so much. Going home alone when all everyone's talking about is adoption, as if that was something I could ever consider. I'm somehow frozen in this teenage body that's getting older and older but doesn't want to move forward properly along the axis of time. I recently met a woman who told me, "My God, you look like you're 12. Do you remember the trip we took together to the Venice Biennale? Because the video work we'd made together was being shown in the Danish pavilion. And we lay around in the giardini with my head on your chest, and for days we read Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. Except we never went to Venice together. And never made a video work or anything else together because we always saw each other as competitors. And never really spent any time together harmoniously. Instead, we only ever argued. And then had great sex to make up for it, then everything would be calm for 3 days, and then we would begin it all over again. And you always accused me of being an egotistical bastard, and that all I ever thought about was my career. Well, at least I had one. Not like you. Apart from your borderline personality disorder and your pretty brown eyes, you didn't have all that much to contribute to the relationship.
So, you want to create art.
Yes,
You want to become a visual artist now.
that's right.
Well, how does this become art? And not just the ramblings of a few guys talking dirty about sex.
Talking about sex is dirty, is it?
You know what I mean? Fingers, holes, anal. I just can't imagine perfectly normal people wanting to listen to the sex stories of some random guys.
You don't just want them listening to your sex stories about me fingering your hole.
That's right.
Imagine nobody had any problem talking openly about what they do in bed or how they do it, and everyone thought it was all entirely normal.
But everyone talks about sex all the time.
Are you sure?
Everywhere, all the time. On the radio, on TV, on the internet, every ad, it's all about sex. Everywhere, all the time. Today in the canteen, some guy was talking about how many fingers he can get inside the directing intern's pussy.
Yes, but he wasn't gay.
No.
Exactly. Gays never talk about it in public unless they're making smutty hints. Anyway, this project isn't really about sex.
It's not.
You know what it's like when you sleep with someone you don't know for the first time?
Yes.
You're like a blank canvas.
What do you mean?
Suddenly and unconsciously, you have the chance to present yourself to him as you would like to be. And that's usually different from what you really like. And that's interesting because this conflict inside you between what you want to be and what you are and what stops you. How the opinions of others or fear of other people's judgment stop you from being what you want to be. That fear is gone. And through that, you can recognize who you actually could be.
Interesting. Though I don't know if I really understand.
I've probably not explained it all that well. Sounds better in my head. Just forget it.
No, I'm interested in this. Really, I mean, I haven't got a clue about art, but how do you expect this to work?
Forget it. Nobody wants to see it because it's about gay sex. The gays will only come because they're hoping to see muscles and dicks, and the straights won't come because they think it's got nothing to do with their world. They'll go and see photo exhibitions of Iranian refugee children or war pictures of burnt corpses and rapes. But gay sex, no way, forget it.
What the fuck? Do it. Honestly, do the project. I'd come.
No, you wouldn't.
What? No, you're right. I wouldn't. Do your parents know?
What about yours? You don't look like you told them.
Well,
What?
it's complicated.
It's not complicated. You just gotta do it. I told them on Mother's Day.
How old were you?
16.
Did they go nuts?
No. I just said it didn't matter if it was nature or nurture. Either way, it wasn't their fault.
Cool. I'd do it, but
But what?
I don't actually know my parents. I don't know where they are.
Interesting.
It's okay.
Were you adopted or?
I was in various homes until I was 16.
Ah,
It was okay. I wasn't abused or anything.
pity.
What?
I find it sexy to abuse a hot little Serb like you. Or watch you being gang raped by a load of Orthodox priests who fuck you first and then hear each other's confessions while you were blowing them off.
Thomas, that's sick, and that's not in the play.
I was joking. Sorry.
I met my best friend there, Jamie. It was nice. We did everything together.
So does he know about you?
Yes, we're like brothers. All my friends know, the closest ones at any rate. What?
Isn't it bad that I think it's hot that you're an
Oh
orphan?
my God, what is wrong with you?
Sorry, I think it's sweet. Sexy.
Seriously, you think my tragic childhood is funny?
I can see you as a ragged little orphan somewhere in Serbia during the war, dodging NATO bombs and begging soldiers for bread, risking dead bodies to find some money. I'm a bad person.
Yes, you are. You're a bad person.
Take me with you.
No.
Your sister's getting married.
Exactly. I can't ruin her party.
What?
Man, my parents and my whole family are gonna be there.
I'm your boyfriend.
What? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
What?
Yeah, sure. Does that mean yes or what? Yeah, well at the moment, I think, yeah, whatever, or
Yeah, you are.
right.
What?
Take me with you.
No.
Introduce me to your parents.
Yeah, I will, just not today.
Do it.
No, I listen, it's not, it's not now.
Are you ashamed?
No.
Do I embarrass you?
No.
Am I too old?
No.
Too German?
No.
Not cool enough.
What? No,
Do you want to wait till you found someone better who you can present to your parents?
what?
Till you found someone who's worth all the horror of confessing to mommy and daddy from Anatolia that you
Bullshit!
can take me with you.
It's impossible. Honestly, my whole family will be there and...
They live in Kreuzberg.
So what?
Well, after 20 years, they must have some idea of life here in the city.
Yes, but...
Yes, but what?
Yes, but...
Full stop. Yes, but full stop. Really big. Really, really big.
My father wouldn't understand.
Then explain.
No.
It's not that complicated. Any idiot can understand.
It would break his heart. Honestly, he's not particularly well anyway, and...
It's embarrassing.
What?
Yes, you are embarrassing.
Please, you've got to understand, my sister's getting married. It's her show, not mine. I can't go there and make some massive entrance, complete with boyfriend, coming out, and all that entails. She'd hate me so much, honestly, if I'd make myself the center of the attention on that day. Okay, just let me go there, I'll get through it, and we'll do it another time. Please.
Embarrassing. You don't stand up for me. stand up for yourself.
Put yourself in my position for once. And don't just think of you.
But I don't want to put myself in your position. I want to put myself in my position. And my position tells me that you're a coward. And you're an asshole who won't stick up for me, and that makes me sick.
Yeah, then leave.
Okay.
Just leave, throw yourself in front of a train, or swallow the sleeping pills that your alternative practitioner prescribed for you.
Is there even a wedding?
What?
Who are you seeing?
What?
Who are you seeing then? Tell me, for fuck's sake. Fucking hell. You're lying all the time. I've never seen them. Not even a photo. This whole Turkish extended family, it's just an alibi so you can meet up in peace with all your fuck dates.
You're sick.
Sick with love. Is that such a crime in this cold gray city? Just wanting to have somebody who'll stand by you, to be there for you? Are lovers only ever targets of mockery and scorn? That's not why I married you a second time, Christian, so you can cheat on me with a woman again.
Ali, tell me, what can I do for you to forgive me again?
Nothing. If it was some guy at least, man, do you really not understand? I'm sick of always being the one who suffers. Now, I've got to go do that test shoot for IQ.
But I've got to be on the first flight to Wales tomorrow morning and ride in Arabian stallions.
Don't wait up. I don't know if I'm coming home tonight.
I'm so sorry, Ali. That woman was an accident. Like all women, actually. Women are accidents of nature. She seduced me. I was powerless. Forgive me, please. I love you, and if you want, I'll tattoo that on myself somewhere.
What has she got that I don't? Tell me, Christian, tell me. I want to understand. This is not my character at all. I can't find it. Episode 37/28B 000.37.28.991.2. Oh, this society is always offering me things that I don't want to recognize. This society is always confronting me with scripts I don't want to play. Where are my lines? Where do I appear? And above all, how do I appear now that I no longer just have to die? Christian, why do you have to go to England again? To ride in Arabian stallions? Can't you just stay here with me in Dusseldorf? For example, we could go and have cocktails in No Limits with our girlfriends and chat a bit about shoes and relationships and have fun bickering and make a few bitchy comments. And then we could shop for a bit and go to the gym and afterwards take our t-shirts off in a club and dance and rub our beards together and listen to house music or the new Britney Spears CD or book a trip to Miami online. Christian, stay here tonight. I can't look after the dog on my own. I need you. Shit, I am drowning inside myself. Sex is performance, and sexiness is capital. You can't love a sex object, you can only consume it. The erosion of the other, the fact that the other is disappearing, that we're losing the other completely remains largely unnoticed, yet it is the most radical historical event of all. The other is being eroded, it's dissolving. It's no longer part of our lives. We really are on our own.
Somehow we are so alike in everything. I find it totally confusing. I can't tell the difference between you and me anymore. I mean, all the time I want to know what do you really think about me? Whether you really desire and want me deeply and genuinely and honestly, you know? You can have me and do anything with me if you just give me the feeling that you want and the love you need. But you're always so undecided and always want to talk and you always want to ask for permission if you want to touch me. But you're a man who takes what he wants, who doesn't keep on asking if I agree. I need to feel your strength. I need to feel the difference between your body and mine, man. Your body isn't just there for you to lock yourself in the bathroom for hours of grooming. I don't want to discuss things anymore, and I don't want to keep any more options open for me to choose from. You should do that, but afterwards you should hold me tight and gently in your arms. Touch me and comfort me and protect me and say that you want, love, and need me.
Ollie, I'm sorry about everything.
Where are you the nights you're not here? Where are you then?
Ollie, my love for you is endless.
Where are you? When you don't come home, when your phone is off, when I can't get a hold of you anywhere, where are you then? Shit lines, shit character, I won't play it. I don't want to be it. It's not my life.
Stop it, man. Those are all your notes for your next project.
Fuck my next project. Fuck all my projects. I want you. I want to be together with you. I want a life with you. I want a life. And you disappear into some networks. Vanish. I can't feel you anymore. You're always gone. You're never here.
Hey, can you be a bit quieter? I haven't had a wink of sleep for nights. Can't you be normal somehow?
No, we can't. We
We
cannot
can't be normal somehow.
Now he wants us to have sex. To act out sex scenes. Not to act them, but to have sex, but in character.
Why?
To tell the character's story more clearly, in order to make the characters altogether clearer, and he wants us to stop leaving the sex out of it. Stop alluding to it, but actually do it. It's about the experience, but also the performative act of doing it, of going through with it, and also to expand the narrow boundaries of our sexuality independently from the norms that otherwise apply in the theater, or what do I know?
Kissing or what are you doing now?
Are you even listening? No, not kissing. This is about sex. We're supposed to have sex. Perform it on stage. I don't know.
In front of people?
Yeah, who else?
How?
He wants us both at the end of the play. Well, I don't know. Somehow it's meant to be, he wants it to last 20 minutes. And we're lying on a sofa on the fore stage, and I'm supposed to fuck him, and I don't know, all kinds of things. We rehearsed it yesterday.
What did you do?
Yeah, it's not that easy. He says it's important to tackle this taboo, this trauma directly, for us to enter spaces that no one has entered before us. And yes, and nothing, and.
What, you're rehearsing that now?
Yes.
And then everyone's watching?
No, we're doing it alone, I mean.
No.
What?
What are you doing?
Don't look at me like that. I don't know.
Alex, have you got a second for me?
Sure.
Sit down. I'd like to sing something to you now, and you listen to it, and don't judge at first. Maybe you'd like to sing along, join in, and we'll just see where we both end up together, okay? There's no need to be afraid, so music, please. You're a shooting star I see, a vision of ecstasy. When you hold me, I'm alive. We're like diamonds in the sky. I saw the life inside your eyes. So shine bright tonight. You and I, we're beautiful like diamonds in the sky. Beautiful like diamonds in the sky. Yeah, that was nice. Yes, very interesting. But I need to go to fight training, so later, bro.
My husband is very open.
Wonderful actor.
Yes, that too. But also very sensitive, empathetic. He doesn't have many defense mechanisms. He simply surrenders himself.
You know, and it's incredibly beautiful to act with him.
What I'm trying to say is he gives himself completely, but only ever for the work. So it's work, that is.
Sure.
You mustn't do that.
What? No, of course.
You mustn't make a mistake about that. And we love each other.
Mm.
Very much. serious about that, both of us. I mean, he's from Serbia, I'm from the Czech Republic, and where we're from, if we're together with someone, then we really are together with them. We mean it. We are serious.
Sure.
Yeah. Not like here in Germany, where being together just means you've got someone to come home to after you fucked around.
What?
Don't pretend.
What?
Don't pretend, Thomas. I've been watching you for the last few days.
What? What exactly have you been watching?
I don't know. Exactly. I don't know exactly what is going on here. I don't know exactly what the point of it is and what it is you are trying to discover for yourself, but my husband and I, we take our relationship seriously. And I mean, you're an actor and you've acted in Greek tragedies, or I don't know, do you only ever do weird associative projects?
No, I don't only ever do these weird associative projects.
You also act in the classics.
That too, I also act in the classics.
Really?
Yes.
Never underestimate the vengefulness of a wronged woman.
What?
You've got 2 children.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe sometimes I do that. You know, Mindy and those kind of things. I play them all. Yeah. So, all I want to say is Alex and I take our relationship very seriously. And you mustn't think that you can be everything here now. Gentle, sensitive, understanding, loving, seductive, charming, enigmatic, sexy. Look, I like you, and all that. But you mustn't believe that you can suddenly cover everything here in acting terms. There are boundaries. And if boundaries are crossed, then what happens?
I don't know.
War. And then what have you got?
No idea.
Dead, injured, wounded, victims.
Hey!
Hey!
Everything's all right here?
I don't know.
Everything's fine. Yeah. Yeah. Everything's just fine. No problem. Everything's fine. So have fun.
Go on. Kneel down and open your mouth, you lonely, sad, ugly, unloved old bastard. I'll play the Turk for you. Women and gays have to suffer, that's how I was brought up. Pull down your pants. Oh, fuck you till you need to go to the hospital, you lonely, unloved, sad faggot.
Murat has expanded his business.
He doesn't only play highly complex, sensitive characters with post-migrant backgrounds who are processing traumatic childhood experiences. But now in his side job, he also performs the macho Turk for lonely old men in Sellendorf and Prince Lauenberg, with a secure financial position who have somehow fallen out of the dating loop on Gay Romeo and Grindr.
You're lonely and ugly, you German pig. Nobody wants you. Get down, you're gonna suffer so much tonight, Ali's going to break you.
The immigrant theater where he works doesn't pay so well. Everyone there has got some kind of other job.
Others play drug dealers on TV.
Or the greengrocer's son in Gasthaus Forstengrund, who occasionally helps out in the garden and who in the last episode was caught stealing a 10-euro note out of one of Gloria von Furstenfeld zu Sign's Louis Vuitton accessories.
It weren't me honest, you can believe me.
No, Murat, that's not possible.
Says Gloria von Fürstenfeld zu Ankersheim's.
We are a very open house, but tolerance has its limits, and even you must adhere to our German rules.
So what are they then, these German rules?
Of course, Murat doesn't understand.
We don't steal, at least not 10 euro.
We'd rather flog off some submarines to the stupid Greeks who can't pay for them, and then profit off the interest they have to pay on our government bonds and send in the Troika so they ruin the country so we can rebuild it again according to our plans and on our terms. But we don't talk about that on our early evening soap, Murat. We don't even talk about that on the news. Our journalists don't talk about that. All they ever do is sit around Borchardt. They don't talk. They keep their mouths shut and eat schnitzel, the good veal that's only this good at Borchardt with a hand-cut cucumber salad. They would never dream of letting anything slip about our machinations. Anyway, they have no access to information. They basically haven't a clue. But they know Burkhart's menu off the heart. These people don't know anything more. And of course, for Angela and for me, that's extremely comforting.
I don't understand nothing. Frau Gloria Grafin Furstenfeld zum Eingeschickt. What's this Borshort?
It's something you couldn't understand, dear Ulugu. Your cultural equipment is far too limited. However, you Southerners are very well equipped down there, and that causes the most delicious form of arousal here in the Frühstücksschloss in taxis from Springersite.
Allie, bring me my tea and volume 2 of Shades of Grey. Up to my room and get the butt plug and handcuffs ready. I've had to make too many decisions on the board today. We sold more tanks to Saudi Arabia, Mrs. Merkel and I. Sometimes I feel so powerful it makes me totally confused in my shattered identity as a woman. Then I need to read 50 pages of Shades of Grey and let Marat and Ali work on me with the butt plug and the bullwhip with 9 knots to be able to feel like a complete woman again. Hopefully, Christian will fly over tonight from the Surkamp Verlag in his helicopter and ask my innermost being about what's right. Hopefully, he'll never ask my innermost being about rights. I mean, rights and the right. The entire right wing in this country apparently all voted for me because they all managed to miss what useless policies I've had in place for the last few years and rights in this country that we've constantly trampled over. But being trampled on is somehow what people are into right now. Everyone wants to be trampled on all the time. Being trampled on is the latest thing everyone wants, both with and without a butt plug. The right to a personality, for example. If ever there was a thing in Germany, Germany is completely gagging for it to be trampled on incessantly with new leather boots from Manolo, or whatever the shit is called. I don't know why I'm now talking like Alfred Jelinek, busily masturbating to Shades of Grey, but somehow I can't get this incredible moronic S&M shit that half the women in Germany who graduated high school have devoured in almost insatiable fashion in recent months. I can't get it out of my head, which is way too free as a result of the dissolution of all gender boundaries and the loss of clearly differentiated gender-specific modes of behavior. My head shouldn't always be so free to choose. That drives it mad. It needs clear instructions, and that's why it sometimes is really good for it to have a couple uncomplicated Southern or Eastern European male constructs around it, because now and then, the heteronormativity simply gives an educated modern woman in a position of leadership the stability she needs to not go completely gaga. Marat, please, fuck me! Hard! And when I beg for mercy, curse me as a cheap German slide and say, "I'll fuck you till you need the hospital, you white German upper-class slave cunt!" Thank you! Oh, yes, thank you! The vaginal clip, please! Now run your middle finger along my perineum and let my inner goddess throb. Oh, I'm so afraid of you. This threatening situation is making me totally horny. You're so dangerous. You're so dangerous, I need that. I'm too safe and too powerful. I just need that feeling that I have absolutely no rights anymore and I'm entirely at your mercy. Threaten me! Yes, a little more, please! Yes, more! Threaten me! A little more! Oh my God! Oh my God! We're all going to die out! The European peoples will die out! The threat from the East is simply too great! Thank you. I've come now. You might not really noticed, but I am a woman who's very much under control. So thank you. Thank you, that's enough for now. Now, off you go and repair something. There's always something for you foreigners to do while I carry on reading Shades of Grey. It's so exciting right now. This is the bit with the nipples and the candle wax while Lang Lang plays Schubert in the background. It's just so romantic.
I want you to be sore for me, baby. Christian Grey continues his intolerable slow torture back and forth, back and forth. You are amazing. He pants in between thrusts. I desire you so very much. How sore, how deliciously sore I am. Christian sits naked at the piano. He plays Schubert, Mozart, Liszt breathtakingly well. His engorged penis is both hard and soft, like steel sheathed in velvet, while he reads out Rilke's poems to me. His magnificent serpent tastes amazingly good, a little salty. Christian gasps out loud. Now I take the whole of his divine meat hook in my mouth, and he sighs with pleasure. My inner goddess performs a salto on the parquet. I'm quivering. I've never loved like this, Anastasia. Just you and me and eternity. One before God. He stands in front of me again, slips a finger under the edge of my panties and pulls them off. Without taking his eyes off me, he crumples up the panties, holds them in front of his nose, and sucks the smell in deeply. Now he strikes immediately and makes the riding crop shoot forward directly underneath my bottom, straight against my lava-slitting, fiery vulva. My inner empress screams in pain. A euphoria grasps me that I have never experienced. One man, one woman. Pain, abandonment, surrender. God wanted it like this. God and the angels and all the powers of the earth shout out loud, two people marry, one man, one woman, one before God. I never envisaged it would be like this. I am lost in a sea of emotions. Without any warning, he presses the crop over the narrow strip of my pubic hair and pauses before my vagina. Meanwhile, I flick through the Bible. In the beginning was the man. My vulva burns with fire.
I want to throw up. I've gorged myself on disturbing images. It all started quite harmlessly with some YouTube clips. That led me on to the next clip and another and another and another. And every clip got more intense and blatant and fucked up, and my eyes ate their way into the screen. Like they were under a spell, they couldn't rest. My brain has been suspended. There are no controls anymore. Everything's open. Everything's flowing into me now. No protection. My body sounds the alarm. A whole storm is unleashed inside me. I'm no longer in this world, and my hands keep typing like they're obsessed without rest, maniacally. They're not my hands. This isn't my body. Scraps, a stream of links, sounds, too much intimacy, and intolerably pornographic proximity to people who I can't establish any connection with. Neither sympathy, nor interest, nor attraction, nor anything. Everything passes me by. I am no longer in my body. On YouTube, rather on YouPorn, I see a guy stick his dick so deep and so long into the wide open mouth of an ageless woman that she starts to vomit. Some kind of green slime runs over her face, sticking to her eyes and hair. Why it's green, I don't know. She gags and coughs. The video's distorted. It dissolves, becomes pixelated like faces, like grimaces. The connection is interrupted. The image is torn, scratched this way and that, dissolves, formlessly torn apart. My dick is completely limp. I make a frantic attempt to jack myself off. Something's stuck somewhere. I don't want to lie here on my own. The video has got stuck. It won't move. The green vomit runs out of the neck of the woman who can hardly breathe. Then it flows back in again. Then out, then in again. I restart the film and suddenly jump to a mass rape in a kind of inverted Abu Ghraib setting. An American soldier is kidnapped by a gang of Arab-looking men and raped. Given several electric shocks, they stick their dicks in his mouth. He tries to escape. They pull him back, beat him, drag him across the floor, piss on him. I don't know how I'm supposed to or should react to this. My brain is burning. Too many programs are open, too many links. Everything is connected to everything else. A muscular man, a Russian, bare-chested with swastika tattoos, kidnaps a young, thoroughly intimidated boy, puts him in a bathtub naked, shaves all his hair off, forces him to make the sign of the cross with a dildo, laughs mildly while singing "The Show Must Go On." A pop-up window opens, and I'm back with the American soldier, a close-up. He laughs and says that was the craziest, most beautiful, most intense day of my life. I thought it was brilliant, such intensity. It was like a dream that finally came true. I'd do it again anytime I was so alive. Suddenly, an incredible silence and clarity. All entries in my brain deleted, all the voices go quiet. The world has ceased to exist. All the programs, everything, me, my entire life gone. No longer there, I'm no longer me, no longer present, no longer inside me. Everything can be started anew, overwritten anew, invented anew. The system can be restarted. I got out of the apartment. There are people outside. What is the difference between the people walking around here in the street, going shopping or sitting in cafes on their laptops, and these YouTube YouPorn people? What are we for each other? How can we be closer? How do we treat each other? What words do I say to them?
Well, Thomas, it was like we grew up in a village. My whole family lived in Koitsberg, really all my aunts and uncles, grandma, granddad, and we had these rituals. We didn't have a hunting festival, we had May Day. It was like a war once a year. Smoke above the house, the whole street on fire, thousands of people, police windows being smashed, cars overturned. And when I was 14, 15, 16, I always went because there were always wild boys there who got so injured I'd take them home and patch them up or wash the tear gas out of their eyes. And most of them were really sweet, wasted guys who traveled specifically from Stuttgart to bash in a few pig faces. And yes, I used to think it was exciting, and my parents were totally annoyed. And there were always these injured German boys from small towns in the provinces lying around in our apartment. I had a band with my girlfriend, Sybil from Munster, and we'd always rehearse in my room. And one year, I somehow went too far. There were 5 injured guys from Mannheim lying in my bedroom, and we listened to really loud music and drank beer and mouthed off about the fucking repressive police state, and eventually we were all lying on top of each other. And I sang, and Sybil danced, and we all snobbed each other and fooled around. And then suddenly my father came in, and he was hit by a thunderbolt. He absolutely didn't know what to say, and then for 3 months, we didn't exchange a single word. And this is the song that they were listening to at that moment.
Wait, I'll record it for my mixtape.
Okay.
Forced to sit in it.
I've got a problem. Can't keep it inside anymore. I can never understand or explain. Don't come near me. You're different. I'm different. In my father's eyes, I can recognize how much of a stranger I've become to him.
I am the other.
What he can no longer understand.
A strange caprice of nature, a psychotic mistuning.
Something that ideally could be corrected again.
Something one should keep a distance from in the future.
Something that he'll never really understand, that he'll never really be able to feel at ease and identify with, that he'll never be able to feel familiar with.
That?
No, not now.
Better to wait a while.
It's all so stressful anyway.
The family's already got so many problems.
Father's already so old now, maybe I can just let him die without it.
It would break his heart.
He wouldn't be able to understand. He's simple. I mean, he comes from an entirely different time. He's had an entirely different upbringing.
In my father's eyes, I can see that his attitude towards me has changed in a second.
I'm now more foe than friend, and definitely not an ally anymore.
We already had a difficult relationship, and now.
Now it's really complicated.
In my father's eyes, I recognize
How his brain is scanning everything for every possibility, patterns of explanation.
What went wrong?
When did it start?
Where and when was the precise moment that set me off on the wrong path?
Is it something in my head?
Is it my soul?
a disease
Sick soul and
with a great deal of love, more encouragement, or perhaps the opposite, more firmness, more rigor.
What did we do wrong?
Please keep it to yourself for now, and don't bring your, circles here with you, because then we can move away from here and stop using my shaver, and
Of course, you're still our son, obviously, and you can come here anytime you want, but please.
Maybe more sports?
Listened to classical music too much when he was a child.
Do you play with dolls?
don't you want to give that psychiatrist a call after all? And
He's bound to die before we do.
No grandchildren.
It's all just to hurt us.
Out of spite.
to provoke us.
There is something, one thing, well, there's something that I, oh God, don't cry now, Alex, don't cry. Well, from time to time, you mostly annoyed a bit that in recent years, I haven't really, oh man, I thought it would be easier. I've asked you here to tell you, after all these years, I love you. You're bound to have wondered why in recent years fuck it, I'm pleased. Well, it's so hard, I don't understand it. I'm heterosexual. I like women, very much in fact. And my favorite thing is watching football on TV, and I like repairing cars, and if someone steals my parking place, I'll bash his fucking face in. But now I've prepared a song for you, just because you're such a great guy, Thomas. It was such fun sleeping with you, Glenn. I mean, I don't need to do it every day, Thomas, but it really was an experience. Well, anyway, I did find it interesting. I never came this long, this hard before. But then again, I never fucked a boy like you before. Never had somebody I could fuck hardcore. Till I met you.
they only accept us as long as we fit in and play by their rules. Take your friends. How would they react if you really made an issue of your gayness? Politically, socially, talking about gay rights, gay marriage, or what do I know, if you suddenly got all shrill and were constantly talking about ribbing.
Rimming?
I have nothing against gay people with homosexual tendencies. I do have something against the homo lobby's strategies for cultural revolution. It is now clear that there is no homosexual gene and no one is born homosexual. I also refer people to institutions that offer therapeutic help to those affected. These are people who suffer because of their homosexual tendencies and who wish to lead a heterosexual life. Nobody's forced into this, and nobody should be forced into it. But the homo lobby wants to have all therapy banned.
In my films, I reveal that certain rules and institutions of the society we live in are inhumane, and some people don't like that. The institution of marriage, for example, is one of these. Even though I can't offer a better alternative right now, I know that this institution of marriage destroys people. This institutionalized fidelity. Marriage and the social rules that have to be obeyed to live in this society can ruin the relationship that might have genuinely developed between two people.
They thrust their heterosexuality in our faces the whole time. On TV, in every ad. We're exposed to this heteronormative terrorism. But the gays, look out! Be quiet, the straights are coming! Everyone be quiet, everyone pretend we don't exist! And don't say anything about us, it might unnerve them. Just don't kiss in public, just don't hold hands. Don't talk about sex. Look out, the straights are coming. Everyone play dead. And get off into the ghetto. Otherwise they might be angry and not like us anymore. We could finally do what we want to, but no, we pour the same old heteronormative cement over everything and want to live in the same old gray concrete covered shit that they do.
Why have these totalitarian ambitions? Because they make it clear that mankind has the freedom, the opportunity, and the obligation to cultivate its sexual drive in order to be able to fulfill its own desire for faithful love and the family. We find ourselves in a culture war, fighting for the future of the family, freedom, humanity, Christianity, and the cultural identity and continuing mental health of our nation.
Oh man, we could have so much more, try out so much more, but instead we spend the whole time suffering because we are not like them. It's a good thing we're not like them. Why should we want to live like them? It's terrible the way they live. Why should we want to live like them? They're not happy. They're all being destroyed by the life they lead. I'm not saying we shouldn't get into long-term relationships. I'm only saying we don't need the blessing of some state institution. And don't tell me that people marry for love. They marry for the same reason they buy a house or a dog, to be chained up. It's not even a proper marriage. In America, they went to the streets and fought for their rights. And here, they all just hang around on Grindr at the gym. They do nothing. What are they fighting for? What are they supporting?
They're fighting, but for something you don't believe in.
Oh yeah? That's not what it's about.
It is what it's about. Somehow, a man being able to say to another man in public, I love you and I want to marry you. That is a damn radical statement. To stand up in front of everyone and say, I want to spend the rest of my life with you, while they're all saying that's wrong, disgusting, and sick. There are people who want us to go to hell for that. Why do they say that or write it in various comment pieces? The web is full of them, still. And if someone says publicly, I love you, and I don't fucking care what anybody thinks or says about it, I love you and I want to be together with you, then I find that pretty damn courageous. What bothers you so much about that? Two people love each other. They want to get married and have a permanent relationship to simply be happy together.
I don't want to live an assimilated, pre-programmed life like all of you.
There you go again. You're so fucking arrogant.
I'm not.
Yes, you are. You're so condescending. You're always attacking me.
I don't attack you.
You want everyone to think freely, but only as long as they think exactly the same way as you. Why can't you understand that some people just want to be happy?
So, are you happy?
I'm all right. Yes, things could be better, less complicated, but I'm fine. Yes.
Yeah, sure, obvious.
Don't you dare, honestly.
Calm down.
Don't you dare think you understand me. That just because I don't walk down the street holding hands or talk to my mates incredibly freely about my sex life, you can look down on me.
I don't.
I know exactly what you think. I can see it in your eyes. You think I'm an idiot just because I want a relationship.
When did I say
But
that?
I honestly think, Glenn, I think that is precisely what you want too.
I already have the perfect partner.
It's not that. It's not about me. It's about,
I don't want a relationship.
I don't believe you. I simply do not believe you.
I don't want a relationship.
I've tried living in communes with 3 or 4 people, or even with 7 or 8, but every time it ended in disaster. I found out that I'm absolutely incapable of living in partnership. I mean, with just one other person. I've tried that too, but I am completely unsuited for that kind of relationship. Each of you feels an obligation, that's the problem. I believe there is no real freedom. There are no free decisions. Everything depends on this sense of obligation you feel living in a partnership. I don't know any panacea for this, but it's easier if you live in a group, because the obligations are shared, and because frustration isn't just directed at one person. Frustration often turns into hatred or fear. When you hate another person at the same time, you're often afraid of losing them. It might be crazy, but that's the dialectic nature of human relationships. That's what I'm always trying to say in my films. That the institutions society offers us don't really do us any good. I don't know any better ones, but I'd like to think about it and draw attention to this problem so that people might be able to think of an alternative. I only have relationships with men. It's more difficult with women. I was married once to a teacher, but it didn't work out. To begin with, we were good friends. The 2 years we were married were complete hell. Now we're divorced and we're good friends again. I like women a lot, but I don't like being married to them. Women like being married, unlike men, of course, because it satisfies their need for security more than living in a group. I think it's easier to lead a hassle-free life just from day to day with men. Everything's easier with men. As soon as a woman joins the group, everything changes. Everyone automatically assumes she's going to clean the bathroom or whatever. So you've got to make rules. On Tuesdays, it's her turn. On Wednesdays, his. Women always have a tendency to say, he didn't do what he was supposed to do, but I do. And women can always tell that men expect them to. So Women always feel guilty, but they can't be criticized for that. The reason is probably this society being dominated by men.
Let's just start now, somehow. I'll try something, right? The Russians. Russians are people who love birch trees. Russians are people who love beating up gays. Germans are people who don't care about that. Turks are people who also totally despise gays. Saudi Arabians are people who hang gay men. The French are people who go on mass demonstrations against equal marriage because they think France has lost its position as a world power because gay men are now allowed to marry. Americans are people who read the Bible like 11-year-old kids and take everything in it literally, as long as it doesn't affect their own immoral and contradictory behavior, like getting divorced, watching porn, senselessly killing people and spying on the entire so-called free world. Danes are people who are somehow more relaxed, more open and progressive than everyone else. How come? Why do they have happy gay couples there who adopt children without the country completely falling apart? Rather the opposite. Who wants to live in a crappy country like Russia with a joke figure like Putin when they could live in a house by the sea in Denmark with their good-looking, self-confident, happy, caring, gay lawyer? Russians are people who praise a miserable pig of a dictator to the skies. Russians are people you shouldn't make a trade agreement with. Russians are people who have no business attending any summit conferences until they repeal their fucking inhuman anti-gay laws. Russians are people who put a 20-year-old mother in a work camp for pointing out that Putin is an inhuman pig of a dictator. Russians are people who ought to be dragged out in front of the International Court of Human Rights. Russians are people who levy fines for saying publicly that the gay composer Peter Tchaikovsky was gay. Russians are people who are always running around the motor fair in Hanover with Angela Merkel, without Angela Merkel ever pointing out that they put masses of artists and opposition politicians in prison. Russians are people who ride bare-chested across the tundra looking like a vain, aged 80s queen who's lost all dignity and glamour. Russians are people who? Russians are people who... I'm losing strength now. I can't go on. What is happening in Russia? What is the point? What are they doing? They are torturing my people there, and I can't do anything about it. They are torturing my people, kidnapping them in the streets and taking them home with them. Their mates kneel naked before them and they hit them in the face, force them to put dildos in their mouths, shave their hair off and rub them all over with insecticide and then hit them in the face again, rake them with broken bottle while singing "The Show Must Go On." And always that grin on their faces. That grin that Putin has when he talks about laws against gays, or Alexander Dobrindt whenever he complains about a shrill minority getting too much attention. That stupid grin of Putin's and his juvenile stuttering when he's asked in Scandinavia what's behind his repressive laws against gays, and he can't get anything out apart from stumbling and stuttering broken sentences with lots of ums and pauses and then nothing, and then he ends on the too much hasty, almost swallow sentence, "Please respect our laws that protect our children." How is it that under Russian law, everyone can be punished who doesn't report negatively about homosexuality, that can't even be called homosexuality in public, but pedophilia instead, which is not the same thing? Pedophilia is when Berlusconi fucks teenage Moroccan prostitutes at his parties. That's pedophilia, not when two grown men hold hands walking down the street. Dear Angela Merkel, finally tell Vladimir Putin to stop having my people tortured. I don't want to see any more Russian policemen in plain clothes kicking young men on YouTube for holding up a rainbow flag. I don't want any more neo-Nazis to grab my people off the street, strip them, tie them up, and abuse them with dildos while filming them on their phones, pour urine on their faces, and then make them sing Russian Orthodox hymns, and then put the whole thing online and never, never, ever be prosecuted for it. I don't want any more Russian Duma members to go on Russian TV to argue that gay men who have road traffic accidents should be refused blood transfusions, that gay men who have and everyone applauds. I don't want Anna Netrebko to campaign for Putin anymore, and then afterwards sing the role of Tatiana in my production of Tchaikovsky's opera Eugene Onegin at the Vienna State Opera. Tchaikovsky was gay! Anna, You can't simply campaign for someone who has declared war on my people and then belts out an opera on one of my people's greatest composers. I hope you choke on your bigotry and hypocrisy if you ever so much as sing a note of Tchaikovsky anywhere ever again. And then if the Süddeutsche Zeitung prints one more interview with Anna Netrebko and lets the sentence, "Putin is good for Russia," pass entirely without comment, as it did recently, and goes on to ask about the cardigan she has to wear as Manon, whether it's imposing too much. After all, she is the great diva Anna Netrebko, and she can't just be set on stage wearing any old cardigan. You know what, Süddeutsche? In Russia, very different things are being imposed on my people that are different from having to wear a normal cardigan. Pay attention to that and write about it. Report on Putin and his pogroms against gays. Do it! Research and write about it. Or Merkel could do it. But why doesn't she? Because she has a strategic anti-gay policy of her own, not to scare off her reactionary base. Merkel could quite easily grant the same rights in Germany that have already existed for some time in Scandinavia, in Belgium, in Spain, now even in England, and that have contributed to gay men no longer being treated in law like second-class citizens, and therefore not having to feel like second-class citizens anymore because they are not constantly being denied rights that are guaranteed in the Constitution by Merkel and her fucking reactionary Catholic freaks. The Catholic Church is one of humankind's most terrible mistakes. Nietzsche understood that. How come in the year 2013, it's repulsive people are still being allowed to bellow their despicable sermons of hate on all channels? For thousands of years, these sexually dysfunctional child abusers have been inside our heads, telling us how to think and feel, what we should be ashamed of and what we should be afraid of. Thou shalt not love, thou shalt not be thyself, thou shalt not feel free, thou shalt not be ashamed, thou shalt be ashamed of what thou art, thou shalt hate thy body, thou shalt strike fear into thy children, thou shalt allow the children to be sexually abused by us, thou shalt build us golden castles, thou shalt never contradict, thou shalt not think, thou shalt not hide, thou shalt not be who thou art, thou shalt not be who thou art, thou shalt not be free, thou shalt be lonely forever, thou shalt never act on their desires, thou shalt lie alone in bed at night and tear thyself apart with desire and longing and cry, yes, cry, just cry. I've got nothing against gays, but it's just unnatural. And God did create men. I mean, he wouldn't just create man and woman and the whole reproduction palaver and create marriage and the family so that, on biological terms, it's complete nonsense. We'd all die out within a generation. Yeah, go on. Can't you put two and two together? God's not a moron. You can't treat him like an idiot. We'll all die out. And then the Muslims will take over and everything here and the Chinese are already standing by. We don't need to all turn gay. We've got to keep up our defenses and not go all feminine. So stop it, you're all imbeciles! God. I can't go on, but that had to come out. It's so hard. My people have no advocate. Not anywhere in the world. No one is supporting the rights of my people. No one. And my people themselves are so divided and show so little solidarity among themselves and never stand together and don't fight and don't defend themselves and let anything be done to them. That's what I admire about the Turks here. Queen Shermini, I admire you for that. Your people stick together. They love you and they're slowly fighting their way up out of the whole second-class categorization bullshit. Your people are so fragmented and divided. Part of them are trembling and hiding behind a shelf unit, while at this very second another part of them are having piss poured on their faces by one of Putin's party comrades, and Angela Merkel is completely cool with that. Man, you need to band together. You need solidarity. Think of yourselves as one nation. Stand up for each other. Fight for each other. Not always keep dissing each other and running each other down. Is that so hard? For fuck's sake! It's all so sad. Yes. One more joke to finish. Erika Steinbach is the human rights delegate for CDU. Please, everybody laugh.
Erika Steinbach is human rights delegate. Blessed you. Erika Steinbach. She's the one whose father was a soldier in Nazi occupation and campaigns for Germany to return to its 1937 borders, and does everything to prevent reconciliation between Germany and Poland, and who, on appeal, normally starts sentences with, "I've got nothing against gays. We invite them to dinner from time to time," but followed by these twisted, ideologically racist treatises that also operate within 1937 borders. And yes, this woman, childless for decades, by the way, like Angela Merkel, like Elise Agner, all these women who want to deny my people the right to marry and adopt, who keep on gabbing about protecting marriage and live in childless marriages or are single or divorced, all these together. What are you trying to protect here? You've not built up any relationships that deserve the name marriage. So what is it you're trying to protect? And it's not my fault, dear Elise Agner, that your partner recently confided to Bill that he never stays with you because you're under so much stress from your job. Then you need to work less if you want a relationship or show more interest in your partners. Listen to them. Spend a few hours concentrating on them. Dear Elise Agner, please leave our people in peace. It's not our fault you're incapable of a relationship. And dear Erika Steinbach, please spend the rest of your life sitting on the Oder-Neisse border, crying 1,937 tears for your father every day. I had an absent father just like you. Mine wasn't there either. Mine also fought in the war and was made an emotional cripple by it. So I understand that you still wish for a loving father and have only good intentions, as you say on Anvil. That a child needs a mother and father, and I feel your pain. Honestly, when you say how much you've suffered from the absence of your father, I have too. My father was always absent. But it cannot be the solution to forbid two loving, absent fathers who have genuinely made a full and complete decision to raise a child lovingly with a great deal of time and care from doing so. The solution cannot be to prevent those who are capable of love from loving. The family you experienced as a child, dear Erika Steinbach, is not worth protecting. It is the family of a tyrannical father. It is the Kutlu family, the family Mr. Dobrindt probably also has in mind. A soldier father who cannot communicate and is incapable of love, takes his wife and children hostage emotionally, and sets up a tyrannical, despotic regime. That family has no right to be protected. It gives that child no protection. Dear Mrs. Steinbach, I've met a lot of disturbed and ruined people in my life, but in your case, I'm genuinely at a loss. What can we do with people like you? How can we remove all the obstacles blocking your path to understanding, caring, and love? Please resign from the office of Delegate for Human Rights and place it in the hands of a person who loves people and doesn't despise them and who will seriously support the rights of all humans, not only the rights of their own party members or lobbyists who paid bribes. My people are in danger. They are being sacrificed. The people out there are so confused. This economic system tearing down all boundaries, hollowing out all identity, reducing everything to services rendered, only exists to work, to consume, to engage in wellness when exhausted, to consult therapists in states of anxiety and relationship problems, to keep yourself fit and desirable, to set up profiles of yourself, to reach your market value and create sufficient turnover, and develop a purely affirmative attitude towards the world and the system that is completely hollowing it out inside, that consists exclusively of like clicks, and yes, I agree to the terms of use that I've never read in my life absolutely and completely, and sign over all my data to a company whose names and structures I know nothing about. And yes, Google can save all my contacts, and yes, Facebook can have unlimited access to my personal telephone book. People get so broken down by all this shit that they need some kind of certainty. Some kind of clarity. Something that gives them something to hold on to. Again, even if it's only the last form of clarity. Hetero, good, gay, bad. I am
Or in the Russian-American version, whose fault is it that Russian culture is in the decline? Whose fault is it that a hurricane has destroyed a trailer park in the Midwest of the United States? Whose fault is it that European peoples are dying out, just like Theo Saracen and Eva Hermann claim? Whose fault is it that every second marriage in Germany ends up in divorce, and almost all German children now grow up with only one parent? If you go out in the streets tonight after the performance, look around. If you see two young men in love anywhere, walking through the city holding hands, and giving each other a tender kiss under a street lamp, then you'll know. It's their fault. They're responsible for all this misfortune because they're in love. God has sent us all this misfortune to punish us. And now, music, please.
Here I am, here I am, waiting to hold you.
Fog. The city doesn't make a sound. I've not set foot outside the door for weeks. I've been watching these films here, made notes, written scenes, typed them out. Sometimes I just bang my fist into my computer or smash up discs. After that, I'm very calm. When I go out, then everything, every sound, every image, everything falls on top of me, into me, all far too loud. And if I talk to someone, then I become who I am. Something different. I'm what's standing opposite and become what he says, and do what he wants. Since I was a child, I've had this disorder, illness, talent, displacement, I don't know what to call it. I notice everything, everything. No filters, no protection, every sound, every buzz, every noise, every breath. The machines on standby overnight, the wind outside, the silence, and every feeling that I've ever felt. Suddenly it's there inside me. Whisks me away. Everything falls away. I can't walk anymore. My heart hurts. I can hardly breathe. Somehow I always have the need to find solutions for everything, clear rules, guidelines, but after 2 days I no longer understand why I decided for or against something. A body is missing here. The absence of another body has eaten such strange wounds into my skin here. Strange, dissolving slowly. No protection anymore. Gone, all gone, nothing left. Kiss me.
What now?
Now and forever. Be everything for me. Now, here, just get me out of here. I can't associate myself with anything right now. Can't identify with anything. There's nothing I can hold on to. Nothing to save me. So kiss me. But kiss me like you mean it. Mean it seriously. That you mean it. That you mean me, only me, and me alone. That you desire me and want me and can't sleep at night anymore without me. Bite hard. Hurt me. Let us become one. Here, now, immediately. Let's tear down all of the boundaries that can ever exist between people. I've got to get out of here, out of this enclosed, hermetically sealed shell of a body. We can fuck till we squirt blood and swallow sperm, or bite each other's lips when we're kissing, and punch each other in the face with our fists, but we will never become one. We'll never become one, and that kills me. That change this now, here, immediately. Just come on, just kiss me. Hold me so tight that I can't breathe anymore. Be everything to me. Tell me what I've got to do. Tell me that you'll always stay here. At least tonight. At least for the next 2 hours. Just don't go. Please stay. Please. Just stay.
disturbed tonight?
A restless night.
I can't sleep and I dissolve in the coils of disparate links.
It was a night in which I largely lost my sense of humor and irony.
My father.
Wanders lost through all the hallways.
Can't find the door. Tries in vain to prop himself up, falls, stays lying there, cries a little like a small child.
Now you're
You're
lying
lying there in front of me. You who caused so much harm in your lifetime, and now cannot move without my help.
I sit down beside you.
You're breathing heavily.
I hold your hand.
lean against you.
You are the man I always wanted to be loved by.
You're what? You're what?
You're what was always absent in my life.
And you're the man who always told me I shouldn't be allowed to live like this. Not the way I am, not what I am. Different. Take it all back. Repress it all.
So we're lying here.
Now,
After all these years.
in the hallway.
Clock is ticking.
Your medical instruments in the bedroom.
The entire surveillance operation. Get Mama. Get Mama.
Mama's dead.
What?
Mama's dead. She's not alive anymore.
There's only us two left in the world and no one else.
I held you up, drag you into the bed, and lie awake for the rest of the night.
So Christopher, come and join us. And Nic, thank you. He is the director again, Nic. Thank you for putting this together in such a time. And Nic, you want to come here? And if some of the actors want to join, just let us know. So this is Christopher's name here, one of the dramaturgs. Do we have a microphone for him? Nic? So, Christopher, was it your first job at the Gorki?
Yeah, it was my first job at the Gorki, my second job, or my second production with Falk, in 2013. But I was part of the dramaturgy team as a guest.
So tell us a bit about the work.
It's been a long process putting together this piece.
How long?
For me, 6 months. Basically, researching months before we started the workshop, and then we had a 2-week workshop where we sat down with the whole team, with the actors, with Falk, with the other dramaturgs, and we basically watched a bunch of movies and went through the material that we researched, and we did impulse lectures to each other about gender studies, about the situation in Russia, etc. And Falk he usually works like that when he's doing his own pieces, and he also, what he does in this workshop phase or in the process is we search for material together, and he basically writes these notes. So he would write, I don't know how many pages. I think for this production it was like 40 to 50 pages of notes, like streams of consciousness basically, and ideas. I can't remember how many transcriptions I did. I used to do transcripts of the movies that we watched. So I would watch Interior Leather Bar by Travis Matthews and James Franco. I don't know if you know the movie. We would do tryouts so that the actors would either use the text or just use a subject or a word and just go on the stage and basically do a 60-minute improvisation of many different things, and then you would record it and also use that material. So you have a huge amount of material you generate from these 2 weeks, and then basically what Falk does is he uses all of this material, and we do a break, and then he writes with all the material, and then we meet, and then we rehearse for 7 weeks, and then we have a piece.
How was it accepted when it came out? I know in America, there's a strong tradition, I think, of plays coming out of the LGBT community, but also in downtown. But as he said in the introduction, in Germany, it's a different climb. How did it work? So,
you mean how the reaction was?
Yes.
We weren't expecting it to be. I was hoping that it would be a hit, but it was a hit. So it was, I think the timing was really perfect, because what is also interesting is, for me, is one day before the premiere, an ex-soccer player, very famous in Germany, came out as gay. So you could sense that there's this need to express this. And it's been running since 2014 very successfully. It's always sold out. I'm still 2019. I gave an introduction a few months ago, and it was full. People were standing on the stairs even. And I'm always amazed about the reaction, that it's still going so strong. And he got awards for it. He just got the Teddy Award, especially for this piece. Teddy, it's part of the Berlinale Film Festival for queer artists. It's usually only filmmakers who get the award, but he got it for this piece. So yeah, it is still very successful.
Where does it fit in his work? What other works is he focusing on? What is his special work of working?
Well, this was a turning point for him, because first of all, it was the first piece he did for the Gorki Theater, and it kind of changed a little bit his way of working in a sense of subject, because I think he never did a piece about LGBT issues. He did a lot of. I used to be an intern in the beginning. We did the piece before was called "For the Disconnected Child," and he works very interdisciplinary. So it was a piece where he had dancing, choreography, and the opera, the orchestra of the Staatsoper was with us, and there were opera singers involved in the production. So it was a huge production with many different elements. And before, he did pieces at the Schaubühne. Trust was very successful, and Protect Me, where he worked with the choreographer Anouk van Dijk, who is now a choreographer working in Australia. And he basically created a very own form of writing. Because I don't know if you notice, it's kind of a cascade. It's always like a stream of consciousness. It's always very energetic. It's always in a flow. And that is a very unique way of writing, I think, in theater, in German theater. You immediately recognize if it's Falk Richter writing, because it has this kind of sense. But this was a turning point thematically, I would say.
Yeah, it's a very strong conviction, almost like a moral theater in the sense of a Goethe or a Schiller or Emile Zola, J'accuse, and with the strong edge, but still very, very detailed and careful and nuanced.
Frank,
how did
can I ask a quick
just
question?
one question? How did the reading tonight? When you heard it here and saw it here? What did you?
I was very curious because I only. We put together the script in German, so I've only heard it and seen it in German. I've read it in English and the subtitles, but I think it was really good. I really like it. It really captured this energy, and it had these. He was talking about this humor, and about this anger that it has, and I think that was pointed out very good. I think it was very close to what Falk meant and what his essence of writing is. So I think it was really good.
Yeah, you know, one thing that we came across a lot in the process of making it was wondering how much of the material was autobiographical, either for Falk or for the performers themselves. There's so many layers of theatricality that we wondered if the real was present and to what extent.
I mean, some real. I don't want to speak for the people who are not. You know, I can only speak for myself. I don't want to take anything away from people who are part of the workshop. But all I can say is that, of course, there's always some kind of realness that is intertwined with fiction at one point. And I think that's really an interesting process because it. Sometimes you think, oh, this is real, and then it gets so absurd that you think, oh, but that can't be real. So I think that's really interesting, but I won't reveal more. I'm sorry.
That's okay, I understand.
How did it feel for you to work on it and create a New York reading?
Oh, it was fascinating because we were eager to discover and encounter how these issues exist a bit differently here, especially in New York City, which has a long history of championing gay rights, and there's less visible prejudice, and it felt like encountering a bit of an other culture through the writing, but at the same time, no one involved in this project, I don't think, felt unfamiliar with any of the ideas. And I think it was fascinating for us to try to identify the layers of theatricality and do our best to make that clear with, you know, in the reading context. But especially learning that you know, if this piece were to be created, I think in the US right now, it would have a lot to do with trans and gender nonconforming issues. There's always another frontier to push, so the systemic questions felt very applicable, and some of the precise material, I think, was resonant but different in a way that fascinated and excited us. And the dramaturgy was amazing to track how the journeys of these characters evolved in a way that brought them together and brought them, I think, to a place of being beaten down but ultimately free because of the parental generations passing. You know, it's like it's both a curse and an opportunity to start anew, hopefully in a better way. And that's what I think we really appreciated about this work.
Is there, since you said there is that history also in the US of those plays dealing with the issues, but did you detect a different sensibility? Did you feel something sounded distinctively Berlin, European, or different, or?
I mean, I think that in the US, this felt like a piece that was very much centered around a gay male perspective, and there was a lot of work that Jocelyn, who's amazing, and just one human being had to do to represent all women, and you know, we worked a lot on how to pull that off, and I think with a fuller production of this script, even it would have been more easy and more meaningful. But I think there's something that seems to me from what Falk and what you were saying about the issue of gay rights in particular in Germany that really needed pressing attention, and still, it seems, is in transformation, when I think in the US it would be included in a larger picture of similar struggles, perhaps, in terms of sensibility. Perhaps just based on the evolution of the ideas, and because it's harder to identify gay rights at this moment as the #1 most pressing issue.
I do think that perhaps the play goes beyond the personal, that it is really political, and there's kind of a connection to Putin, to very clear political structures and system. Often I think American plays or US plays are more about the personal experience within the family, and or it is, you know, something about systematic. But I think Falk combined, I think, successfully these stories, intertwined them. But maybe we can also ask the actors. I'll give you a mic over. Yeah. Any one of you. So, how did it feel to perform the play, and what did you learn from it?
How did we perform it?
No, how did it feel to perform that play that came from Berlin? It's a five-year-old play that was a significant milestone in Berlin theater, and that it was on that stage. And as he said, he got a big award even from the Berlin Film Festival. So, how did it feel to you, guys?
You know, it was interesting because we haven't had it that long, and so it's always exciting to work on a play for a few hours and sort of examine sort of the sections and then feel how it comes together. And I think this piece, it's really interesting how the scenes dip into each other and kind of fold back on each other, and how themes kind of get resurrected and swim in and out. And I think this feeling of just for me anyway, being in it and then experiencing it, just the incredible injustice and dehumanization that we have of gay people in the world is just so striking. You know, it's confounding that is still such a problem.
Well, I second the excitement about working on something for such a short amount of time, that you get to experience something that really reveals itself very quickly. And, you know, I'm really struck by what you were just saying about the kind of intersection, the overlay of the personal and the political, and the kind of interplay between them. And I think we see this in this piece, and there's something we were talking about as we were working on it, of the kind of layers of reality that are existing on top of each other. Even in some of the scenes where it's people who are then creating an artistic work but are also having an interpersonal relationship, and how the politics are emerging inside of that interplay and those layers of reality. And I think it was, just from a purely acting standpoint, it was very interesting, but also to kind of points towards the way that politics exists in our lives, right? That we can look at them on a larger and broader scale, and at the same time that they're at play in our interactions with each other on a daily basis, and even almost kind of in our own selves. So that for me was really a striking experience.
Yeah, I think for me the biggest thing was the catharsis of it, particularly with the macro, micro scale that this keeps zooming in and out of. Particularly, you know, when we were hearing about everything coming out of Russia, and thinking about similar things that happen right here in the United States, it's very easy to feel completely powerless. And there is something very cathartic about being able to exercise those feelings out on stage. You know, I have to remind myself, like, once you get off stage, you didn't actually do anything to change that. You just had a cathartic moment. But it does, I think, provide a space for, because when you hear about these things, yeah, you want to scream. Especially because it's not clear where the avenues for helping are all the time. So for me, that was the biggest feeling, was catharsis.
Well, I do think that a play like this oh yeah, please go on.
No, I totally agree with everyone else. But I think, like, because this experience of doing it just now, we did it in its entirety, and I think we were really mining through the rehearsal process and figuring out what the thing was, what this piece was. And I think, like, I found myself, I mean, as a queer person of color, I found myself having a very deep experience of it, both as an actor and because there's, like Jocelyn was saying, there's kind of, you know, like these structures in it, and there's moments where as an actor you kind of become an audience member how I was playing both an audience and a performer simultaneously, and it was a really interesting experience and deeply experiential.
I think the significance of staging the play or being in it is certainly also is to see a normalization that we are all used to see, you know, men, women, couple, relationship problems, of feelings and sex. Still, gay couples, it is still, you know, it's not yet something where you say, oh, that's just one of those love stories, how it should be. And I think any play that's being created, any reading like tonight and talking about it, you know, is one step towards making it, you know, just one of the stories. It's a long way, but I think the performances were great. I think really you guys put yourself in there, in these complex characters in such a very, very short time. And I think once we see something on stage, it can also be in the real world. That's why theater is significant as a model. That's why it's forbidden, actually, because people don't want to see it on a stage. Because if it's real on stage, it can also happen in real life, and actually it does happen. It reflects. It's always a reflection of a zeitgeist, of something that is on people's minds. I think maybe we go directly also to audience questions. We went a little bit over the 80 minutes, so Mike, maybe he put the lights up on the audience, and George, if you can help us to bring the mic around, not only so we hear you better, it's also with HowlRound, the great organization that supports us here to live stream the event. So maybe if you have a comment or a question, just say your name and your short, please.
My name is Gio. It's just a point of references. This is the 50th anniversary of Stonewall. And so if we think about what we just experienced 50 years ago, this is very common, especially Eric Thomas's monologue was just earth-shattering. I wonder what, Christopher and Eric, your monologue, what was that like for you, other than cathartic? I mean, and how was it being the dramaturge on that? Christopher?
Well, I mean, this monologue developed out of the idea we were discussing their book by Judith Butler called Hate Speaks. So she points out this idea of freeing yourself or expressing this kind of oppression by using the language of the one who oppresses you. So you adapt and take the violence and the hate of the speech and use it in the same way of the person that or the thing that oppresses you. And especially this monologue is very personal to me because it was the only I have to reveal it, Falk, if you're watching, is the only one, he's sleeping probably in Berlin now this time, was the only one that he didn't write down. He spoke it. It was really, I think it was something that he had to speak out, so he recorded it. And I typed it down. So I was sitting there in the middle of the night, actually, typing this monologue with my headphones, and I was like, oh, okay, this is hardcore. So it's for me too, it's a very personal monologue, and every time I see it, I have a weird connection to it.
Yeah, I think that that really resonates how it was spoken and written down, because what it felt like was any time I start to get into a rant about anything that is angering me on a global scale or on a national scale, it doesn't go in a straight line. It's not like a presidential debate. It is like a swarm of bees inside your head. And so you start on one track and then you go, no, and you know what the other thing is? Google's fucked up too. And you just, so it felt very human and very, even though, the monologue talks about all these sort of, touches on these grand socio-political issues and talks about world leaders and all of these things, it felt very, very personal and very much like a human reaction to all of these things. So it was really beautiful to have a window into that.
Another thought or something I thought, it was a real, as they say, cri du cœur, it's really an outcry. And I thought it was remarkable, the attack on the audience, which is unusual. I think often theater, especially again in Americans, you would like to please the audience, or you will tell a melancholic, sympathetic feeling. Oh, look, they're nice people, they're like us, whatever. But this was a very strong showing, saying, fuck you, I'll fist you. Well, this is unusual also for Berlin, but also for New York. And I think it's a very strong statement, and I think it's at a tone of a respect. Was there ever any audience reaction that was unusual?
Well, yes, a lot. Some people really loved it. Some people hated it. And I think that's great. There's no one who has a kind of, oh, it's okay, I just watched it reaction, which is good. I hope not. But no, I think that's the purpose of this monologue. It should be about, if you feel this kind of energy of, I want to change something, or I want to start a revolution, it's great. And if it pisses you off, even better, because I think it's more about, I think it really defines the idea. I think this is the moment where you can see the process of writing itself, because, or the anger of having to write this, because, and what it does to someone who's sitting there, because it connects to you immediately. And for me, it's always interesting to see why does it make me uncomfortable, or why is it making me angry? And I think it's not it shouldn't be, or for me at least, it's never this idea of I'm trying to teach you something. This is not how I would define theater. It's not about telling you what to do. I think it's about creating a consciousness in which you can think for yourself what you would like to do.
Nic, what's one of the most complicated things for you to work on? What did you struggle with?
Gosh, it was a tricky play to stage. I think it was fascinating not to have any stage directions and or explanation of how these different layers and characters played by the same person related to each other. And so a lot of our time was spent decoding that. I think in a productive way. I think, half of me wishes, oh yeah, it would be easier and faster if I had that instruction manual. But I think what we found through it was allowed to be more personal in that regard. And even more so, I think, like, if we got more time to spend with this, I'd love to keep investigating the cast's personal relationship to these questions, and to encounter and inquire with Falk himself about what level of additions or edits are possible, because it seems like the scaffolding and structure and all of it is so exciting that it could only benefit from a little bit of personal investment in the same way that you got to do it.
Maybe as a closing question, have there been follow-up LGBT plays very clearly about this subject, or gay rights plays in the last 5 years, or is one in the oven baking at the Gorki?
Yes.
No, right?
No, there are. I mean, it's hard to pinpoint it down actually right now. I know that, for instance, I was always wondering if this play could be done in another city, because it's so Berlin related, or it's very connected to this idea of a big city, at least as big as Berlin. I think it works very well in New York, because it's an even bigger city. And they did it in Karlsruhe. They staged it there. And I think, in the last few years, we have a lot of playwriters who are working on the idea of queerness, and I think queerness is a subject that is infiltrating every system right now. I think you can see it in German theater, you can see it in German TV, but I also see it in American TV and in American series. I mean, if we look at Pose, if we look at other different...
The film The Favorite, you know,
yeah,
like everything now
it's starting
has,
to
they
become
seem-
mainstream.
It's become
So-
mainstream and commercial even,
Yeah.
you know, like abusing in a way something that is still hurtful and that never came out of the commercial system and now is used to make it more interesting. Okay, one final thought, but they take the microphone.
I had a question about the difference between this as a reading and as a production. I feel like it worked so well as a reading, and I think that's testament to the writing and the directing and the actors, of course, and the sound and everything. But I was wondering if the conflation of actor and character was as present in the staging of it, or if it was the world that was created, the characters that were created were more fleshed out and sort of separate in a fully realized, fully staged production. And I guess it's a question for you as well, Nick, if what sort of in your imagination and just based on what has been in staging, what that looked like.
How did it look like?
Well, I mean, it was an open process, more like a work in. It's like a work in progress, like a mixtape, I would say, and you can see that in the play itself. It's like a mixtape. It's like an archive of memories and archive of very different things that.
Was there stage design?
Yes, there was the stage design, but also was very open. There was like a flocati. What's flocati?
Carpet.
Carpet.
Flocati
Yeah,
carpet,
like a
white,
carpet.
shaggy,
The white,
shaggy.
like in the loft carpets, the white loft carpets. Yeah, and there was a board in the back. It was very open, so it had this process character, and I think that's what I meant. It's very close to that essence. So it really nailed it. And to be fair, I've seen all of the readings, and I'm very impressed about with how little time, how
this was
amazing.
The best reading.
They were all great. I don't want to. They were all great. No, that's what I wanted to say. I think, thank you. It's really amazing. I'm wondering what you can do with 6 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, we reduced some songs that were meant to be sung and pulled it into the sound design. And I think there's a lot more like musical expression that the characters bring to the show that completely impossible in this timeline. But I think add a lot probably and add to the mixtape sentiment. Yeah, without probably taking away from the ambiguity of the layers.
And this idea of the mixtape, of the collage, which is an invention of the 20th century, maybe one of the greatest inventions in art actually in 20th century, that you can collage things, that filmmakers made little clips and then you combine things that were never seen before, Rauschenberg. So also here you see that way of writing, it's a collage and not a narrative structure that follows, you know, something. So this is a beautiful work also that came from the Gorki. It's representative, even its uniqueness, but also in its connection to the general way of working there. So thank you for coming and bringing it. And tomorrow we have 2 more readings, also I think very great readings, and I hope some of you might be able to come. And now again we go around the corner, especially also for you with the actors. We have a little reception at the Archive Bar. It's on 36 between 5th and Madison, just in the middle on the south side, if I got that right. And again, we need great theater, but we also need a great audience. So for all you guys to stay here and come out on a beautiful day, and after a long day of work, whatever, to come out and engage with the issue and listen, this means a lot to all of us, also for our visitors, of course. So thank you too. Thank you.